Welcome to Veteran Resource Podcast, where you will meet nonprofit organizations focused on improving the lives of veterans and their family members. Here is your host, Jeremy Paris.
Good morning and welcome to episode 62 of the Veteran Resource Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Paris. Today we have Kate Germano from the Service Women's Action Network, also known as Swan. And this is going to be a really good episode that I want everybody to listen to. Even though this is the Service Women's Action Network, this is something for men and women. And with 2.5 million female veterans out there, it is easy to see how their well-being affects all communities. Aside from listening to today's episode, I have one single call to action for you. I would love it if you would go and like our Facebook page. So you can get there just by going to facebook.com/Veteran Resource Podcast. You'll find the page, click like. That's going to just help more people to find us, and it's going to help to grow our community. All right, let's get into the episode here. Commissioned in August 1996, Kate Germano served for 20 years on active duty in the United States Marine Corps. A combat veteran, she participated in numerous operational and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief deployments and had many challenging assignments, including service for a year as the Marine Aide to the Secretary of the Navy. She was selected for command twice and served most recently as commanding officer of the Marine Corps' only female unit, the 4th Recruit Training Battalion. She holds a bachelor's degree from Goucher College, where she majored in history with a pre-law emphasis. In 2011, she graduated with distinction from the Marine Corps Command and Staff College, earning her Master's of Military Science degree. Upon retiring from the Marine Corps, she became the Chief Operating Officer for the Service Women's Action Network. She is actively engaged in the struggle to end gender bias in the military and is a vocal proponent for equal rights and the elimination of double standards and lowered expectations for female service members. Service Women's Action Network is the voice of women in the military. Swan is a member-driven community network advocating for the individual and collective needs of service women past, present, and future. All right, let's jump right into the interview. Kate, welcome to the Veteran Resource Podcast. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for having us, and congratulations on season 3.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited about this season. We have a lot of new things that we're going to be trying to try to get the word out more and even dive in a little bit more locally, I think. So
that's great. And I happen to be local to you, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is going to be a good connection here.
Good.
So I want to start out first by just kind of getting a short description of what Service Women's Action Network is.
Sure. So to be very clear and concise, the Service Women's Action Network is considered the voice of service women, past, present, and future, meaning we provide support and we advocate on behalf of both military women who are active duty or reserve and those who are considered veterans.
Very cool. And we're going to be diving real deep into that. But first, I want to get a little bit of background on you. So
Sure.
What can you tell me about yourself?
So I am a 20-year veteran of the Marine Corps. I just retired on the 1st of July of this year as a lieutenant colonel.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much. And I was fortunate enough during my time in the Marine Corps to be able to serve in a variety of capacities that were outside of my normal job, which I hated. And that meant that I was on recruiting duty twice. It meant that I was in command twice. And I encountered Swan for the first time because of what I experienced my last year in command.
Interesting. Before we get into Swan, I also saw that you were an author.
Yes. So this past year and my experience with the Marine Corps and my own personal and professional experiences in trying to improve the performance of our recruits and Marines at Parris Island really shaped my perception of where the Marine Corps is in terms of real gender integration. And I was actually relieved of command when the Marine Corps found that I was too hard on my recruits for trying to make them stronger and faster and smarter. And
Wow.
when that happened, I found my voice and I decided that I would fight back and that the world needed to know that military women are better than they're given credit for in generally, but particularly in the Marine Corps. So I have written quite a bit this past year and it's been great.
Wow, that's great. That's great. What was the origin story for Swan? Why was it felt that Swan was needed?
Yeah, it's a great question. So Swan has been around since 2007, and the original founder really believed that there was a need for the organization because during that time period, the issue of sexual assault in the military was really just coming into the public view. And so she founded the organization primarily as a way to advocate for women in the military and both in the veteran communities and ensure that they were being treated with the respect that they deserved and that the military was being held accountable and forced to change its policies relating to sexual assault.
Interesting. Where are you guys located?
So we're in Washington, D.C. We're right off DuPont Circle. It's a great area.
Oh, nice area. I love hanging out over there.
It's really nice. We're in the Carnegie Building.
Oh, nice. And do you have other locations or do you serve other areas around the country?
So I will save some of this answer for the $10 million question in the end.
Okay.
We have members from all over the country. We are centrally located in DC, and this year we are very much looking to expand across the country by establishing chapters.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I mean,
It's really exciting.
there's so much that you can do over the internet, and there's so much, that where people can find you now and connect with you in groups and things like that. But when you have that face-to-face local
Absolutely.
the chapters, you can really dig in and do a whole lot more.
Well, and what we find with Swan is that our members are truly looking for community, and the obstacles and the challenges that servicewomen and veterans face are unique. They're a little bit different from the standard challenges faced by men when they transition out of the military or while they're in the military. And so having a community in your local area where you can rely on mentors and women who've experienced some of the challenges that you have, that's very important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I belong to some of the local groups around here, and I could tell you just getting out with like Team Red, White, and Blue, they've got chapters everywhere, and
Right.
and doing things with them, having that camaraderie is
Absolutely.
great.
And so we're looking to partner with organizations like that. We don't want to just create chapters just to have chapters, but we want to partner with other like-minded organizations to try to not recreate the wheel and try to increase opportunities for our members.
That is music to my ears. I
Yeah.
I love hearing when organizations are collaborating with other organizations because we all have similar goals in mind. We all have the
Absolutely.
veteran focus, and
Yeah.
so why should we be all trying to work in our own little bubbles when we could be helping each other?
Exactly. Exactly.
So specifically, who can benefit from Swan?
Well, to be honest with you, I'd say from a strategic standpoint, everyone can benefit because when women have opportunities and they're mentored and they're given a clear path to leadership, then the entire organization that they belong to is stronger. And you can say that in the military and you can say that in society. A lot of the issues that servicewomen and women veterans face are the same exact issues that cause women to struggle in the corporate sector, in academics, in research. And so that's why it's so important.
You guys have an online community.
Mhm.
I was reading a little bit about that, but I wasn't able to find out the specifics of how that community works and what kind of goes on in there. And I would love to kind of lift the curtain a little bit and find out a little bit more about how you guys are running that.
Absolutely. So our community, as I said earlier, is nationwide. We have women from every single generation of service in the military, whether they're post 9/11, whether they're, 1980s era, Gulf War. And we frequently pulse our members and we poll them to see what issues are important to them and where they think Swan should be leaning forward in its advocacy and policy reform efforts. We also hold events on a regular basis through what we call our Service Women's Institute, and that allows women in the area and beyond to actually come and participate and observe what's happening on the ground with Swan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And you said you have women nationwide that are in this community.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. We have just about 10,000 bona fide members. Membership is free. It's one of the benefits that we've chosen to continue. And we have members, again, all over the nation. And what we're trying to do this year is actually establish chapters so that they can network and put their heads together and solve problems at the grassroots level.
Oh, that's great. So we're going to have all of the links to everything in the show notes, but just want to give you an opportunity here too. How do the women get in contact or become part of this online community?
Sure. That's a great question. So our website is www.servicewomen.org. And if they're interested in joining and becoming members, there's a contact form that they can fill out and we can add them to our database. Members receive our newsletter every month by email, along with the special invitations that I talked about a few seconds ago. But we also are very excited because this year we sort of unveiled what we call the new Swan. We've broadened our focus in terms of educating servicewomen and looking at issues that affect them to a greater degree than just sexual assault. And the reason that we did that is because we believe that sexual assault doesn't occur in the vacuum. And it's reflective of a problem with the military culture that we need to address. And so women contact us on a daily basis by getting on our website and sending us emails and calling us to let us know what services they need, what assistance they need. And that's essentially how we've grown our membership base.
Oh, wow. And
we also have Facebook and Twitter. I should plug those as well.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Absolutely. And we have quite a big following on both.
I was going to ask, you guys are pretty active on those, huh?
We are. In fact, in the last 30 days, I think we've increased our Facebook followership by 1,100 members, if I'm not mistaken. We've made a real concerted effort to focus on those two mediums because what we're finding is, and I find this hilarious, but what we're finding is the post 9/11 era, they don't generally go to websites. They're using Facebook and Twitter for what we would have, used websites for a year ago. So it's really interesting.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm on top of that because I'm one of these internet digital tool nerds.
Sure. That's good.
But
that's good for you.
And I keep getting lapped by the new technologies that are coming out and people are saying, hey, are you on Clamor and are you, doing this and that? And every time I go and look at it and then I rein myself back in and I say, nope, keep your focus where it's needed.
It's hard. We're really, really fortunate in that we work with Scout Comms. They provide all of our media and social media support for a much reduced rate, and they're a fantastic company. And so we're blessed to be able to work with them, and they help us manage those two things.
Oh, very cool. I've never heard of them.
They're fantastic. I highly recommend that you look them up. They're a veteran-owned company, and they've won a lot of amazing awards this past year.
Very nice. I will definitely be checking them out.
Great.
And so the online community, I was curious when you said that you were polling these people on a regular basis. Are you ever surprised by some of the things that come back where, you think that people are going to be focused on certain issues and then they come back and there's a lot of people that are actually, worried about different issues than what you had thought originally?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point. So because we are dedicated to servicewomen and women veterans, what we find is that the main issue in the media, the main issue that you hear people talking about on the Hill for the military is sexual assault. And yet there's this whole other spectrum of issues that servicewomen face and women veterans face, to include the lack of childcare at veteran VA facilities, the lack of female-specific medical care providers at VA facilities. And so when you start to look at who your membership is and all of the generations that they encompass and all of the issues that come along with those different generations, you start to realize that, and it's really important for everyone to understand this, that service women and women veterans are more than just sexual assault. We are strong, we're independent, we're leaders, and we have a lot more issues that we're trying to tackle than just sexual assault.
Absolutely. As I was digging through and I was looking at the online community, trying to get more information without actually being inside it.
Sure. Sure, you can join. We have male supporters.
Oh, do you really?
Absolutely.
Oh,
sure do.
I will jump in there then for sure.
No pressure.
The resource portal is something that I also came across, and wasn't sure if that was part of the online community, if it was something completely different. So wanted to kind of get the full skinny on that.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity. So I think I mentioned a few minutes ago that this year we rebranded Swan. We became the new Swan, if you will. And our new CEO, Judy Patterson, really did an incredible job of drilling down in terms of what our mission should be and how wide the aperture should be. And so in doing so, we determined, we pulsed our members. We had a group of Georgetown students who helped us conduct surveys, and we pulsed them to figure out what it would be in a dream world that would help them do what they need to do in life to be successful. And one of the things that came up is that, and you probably know this better than anybody, is that the process of finding something online, whether it's a benefit or you're following up on, how to put in for a VA loan, that is such a difficult process, and there's no one-stop shop for that.
Right.
So we came up with the idea of developing this resource portal that will be tied to our website and that we hope to unveil sometime this year, that will be focused on the issues that service women and women veterans have repeatedly told us are most important to them, whether it's medical care, whether it's ground combat integration, whether it's how to work through some legal issues that women veterans tend to face more so than male veterans. So the resource portal is under construction right now. Again, we're hoping to unveil it this year, and it's going to be a one-stop shop specifically for women veterans and service women to get answers to the questions that they have when they have them, instead of having to go through all kinds of rabbit holes to try to find the answers the hard way.
That is going to be a much needed resource for sure.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think a lot of the times when you're doing searches for things on the internet, it's not that there's a lack of the information. Sometimes there's so much information that it's just noise. And what you're finding is, articles that are written with just somebody's opinion on here is what I think you should be doing for your benefits or something like that, instead of the actual facts.
Absolutely. And I can tell you that the transition seminars that the military offers, they're so not focused on the needs of women that what we're finding is that women are less inclined to self-identify as veterans when they get out for many reasons. But because they don't self-identify, they also tend to take advantage less of the services that they rate as veterans. So that's something that we'd like to change by having the information easily accessible to them through that resource portal.
Very cool. Yeah, like I said, that's going to be a much needed resource for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And now I think that this is one of the bigger parts of your organization, correct me if I'm wrong, but advocacy?
Yes, absolutely. So advocacy is predominantly what Swan has been known for since its inception. And again, it started with advocating for service women who were really crying out for accountability for sexual assault and military sexual trauma. But that has since morphed into a much greater advocacy effort. And we've gone through some really interesting partnerships this year, developed those relationships with other VSOs and MSOs to tap into the potential for that partnership and the strength that comes with being part of an organization with all like-minded folks. And we've been able to expand that from just sexual assault to a bunch of different advocacy-related policies and pushes for reformation.
Oh, wow. And that really helps that you're right there on the Hill.
Yes, it does. So Swan, when it started, was originally in New York City, and they moved here to Washington, D.C. about 2 years ago for that very reason. We spend quite a bit of time getting calls from people on the Hill because we're known as subject matter experts when it comes, luckily, to service women and women veterans. I guess it'd be a bad thing if we weren't.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different groups that come specifically to you for advocacy. Do they pull stats from you as well?
Absolutely, and we are very open with providing that information because we don't feel a proprietary sense of ownership. We want the information to be out there so that more people understand the challenges that come along with being a servicewoman or a woman veteran.
That's great. One of the biggest mistakes I think that some organizations make is they have that feeling of scarcity where, we have to be the only ones that can provide this, and we're going to hold on to everything tightly. And
Yeah.
They're doing what they can to help the group of people that they support. But if that information can be used by a larger audience, then why wouldn't you pass that on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to me, you said it best when we first started, and that is that we all have the right end state in mind, and that is to make sure that servicemen and women and veterans are successful. And you can't do that if you're doing it in a vacuum. So we don't believe in withholding information from other like-minded partners. We believe in spreading the wealth and then getting their perspectives too, because our members may not be their members and vice versa.
Right, right. And I don't know if you've already covered this or not, but if you can kind of get into some of the more specific issues that you guys are currently handling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. One of the most important things that we pushed for this year, and you may be aware of this, is in the NDAA, we wanted for veterans, particularly those who had been wounded in combat, to be able to go to the VA and have the VA help to pay for some sort of in vitro or childbearing service through the medical folks. And so we worked with a bunch of partner organizations on that this year, and we are proud to say that it went through and I believe is going to be in the NDAA, although that's not final for this year. One of the other things that we've really paid close attention to and worked hard on is making sure that this issue of women going into the draft is fully considered by Congress. Because the original reason that women were not drafted was specifically because of the ban on women in combat. And so since the ground combat exclusion has been lifted, we believe it's really important for women to understand that they have an equal obligation to carry their weight in terms of our national defense. It's not an issue that everybody wants to have happen, but it's very important to be ready when our country needs us most.
Yep.
So it's just 2 examples. Yeah.
And okay, so there's probably some listeners out there that are listening to this episode, and they're saying, Kate is speaking to me. This is, I love what this organization is doing, and they want to get connected with you.
Sure.
I was curious if you could give some kind of maybe like a walkthrough of what a new member of your organization might experience when they come to you.
Absolutely. So it happens every day. We don't restrict the assistance that we provide solely to our members. We receive requests for assistance every day from women and men, actually, who are looking to be pointed in the right direction or need a specific service provided for them. And so what I would say is that if someone has a need or they're interested in becoming part of Swan, the best way to do that is by visiting our website and filling out a join form or a contact form. And we receive those every day. We also receive voicemail messages every day, and we get back to people right off the bat because we want to grow our membership. And we also want to provide women who are in need with the fastest response that we can provide in terms of giving them the services and the support that they need.
Excellent. And so they can usually expect a phone call or an email or something of that sort back after they contact you?
Absolutely. And I will tell you that we're very, very good about getting back to people within 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And we have a very limited staff. So I can tell you that considering that we only have 2 full-time people, that's a pretty good response rate.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, we're very small.
And are you looking to grow as far as staff as well?
Well, again, you're talking to me about your multi-million-dollar question. If I woke up and it was there the next day, so yeah,
I keep
absolutely.
taking that away, huh?
No, I won't go into it much more than saying absolutely. We would love to have a staff with people who have subject matter expertise in fields like fundraising, which is very, very difficult for 2 or 3 people to do. Particularly because it's not our main area of expertise.
Gotcha. And what about volunteers? Do you have volunteer opportunities?
Oh my God, our volunteers are amazing. So, yes, we do. In fact, we're getting ready to have in August on the 24th, service women and women veteran meetup. And that's going to be in the Mediterranean restaurant in Pentagon Row, right outside of the Pentagon. We figured it would be easier to have it there. It would allow women to walk over from the Pentagon. And we're trying to recruit volunteers, folks who want to help out with our newsletter, folks who want to be part of our summit, which is coming up in November, and folks who just want to be part of an organization that is really attuned with what it's like to, try to overcome some of the obstacles that are out there for service women and women veterans.
Wow, that's great. And one last question before we get into the final three.
Sure.
How can our listeners help Swan?
Oh my gosh. So 2 primary ways that your listeners can help Swan. First, become a member and have a vested interest in the many issues that are specific to women in the military and veteran communities. And I say that because it takes both men and women to make change happen. And again, I mentioned earlier, the issues that women face in the military are much the same issues that are facing women in the corporate sector, in research, in IT. But the difference is that the military has always done a really good job of setting the example for greater society when it comes to societal change. So they can be on the spearhead, on the forefront of that if they become members. And then the other thing is, we're always looking for contributions. We're a very small organization, and if someone was willing to donate $5, that would be $5 more than we have right now. We may be able to hire some extra staff and provide even better responses to women who are in need of our services and support. So I would say those are the 2 key areas. And then, of course, we're always looking for volunteers.
Excellent. Excellent. Is there anything that I might have missed before we get into the final three?
The only thing I can tell you, Jeremy, is that the women veteran population is 2.5 million women and growing. And for those of you
Wow.
who are not familiar, absolutely, the population of male veterans in the United States is actually on the decline. And if you think about it, it makes sense because of World War II veterans who are passing away. But the population of service women is actually going up. If you looked at a chart, the arrow would be going up while the male arrow would be going down. And so I would say that this is really the decade of the service woman, and it's going to be amazing to see all the changes that come about and how that impacts greater society as a result.
And I think that there's another point that should be made also is
Sure.
this is one that I was thinking about while I was researching this, is that as a male, you look at an organization like Swan and you immediately dismiss it as, well, it doesn't apply to me, so I shouldn't really, care about this. I should be, spending my time on something that is more specific to me. And while that might be right for some people, something else to consider is that these women are veterans also, and
Yes.
all of our veterans need to be cared for.
And their mothers and their sisters and their daughters. And so, absolutely. And more so, the men in the military and the veteran communities, they have a vested interest in making women as successful they can be because it's just better for everyone.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be putting the word out about Swan and trying to get as many people to reach out to you as possible.
Great. We look forward to it. I really appreciate the support.
Excellent. I think we are ready for the final three.
Okay, I've been studying.
Okay, question one. Who would you like to hear on a future episode of the Veteran Resource Podcast?
I'd like to hear from the Women in Military Service for America Memorial. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the organization, but if you've been to Arlington, you've probably seen this beautiful monument at the end of the road. And unfortunately, they're in a desperate need for funding. They don't receive any federal funding, which is a travesty, and they don't have national monument status, even though this is the only monument that was constructed to honor servicewomen throughout our history. So my friend Teresa Hughes just wrote a great article in the Huffington Post on why WIMSA, the Women in Military Service for America, that monument is so critical. And I would love to hear them on this program.
And that's another reason why I love doing what I'm doing, because with 40,000 plus organizations out there that are all veteran focused, I know about a very small amount of them. And every time that I kind of reach out and start talking to people about organizations, I end up finding out about new ones that I didn't even know were out there.
Right. Yeah, this is a really important one. And women are often under-recognized for their service. And what's happening with that memorial is sort of a reflection of that in greater society. So I would love for them to be on your program, and I would love for them to be able to improve their funding situation so that they can stay open and honor women veterans.
Excellent. I will be reaching out to them for sure.
Great.
All right. Question number 2. What upcoming project has you fired up right now?
Oh my gosh. So I am incredibly excited about what we are calling our annual summit. It's happening in November, and essentially what it is an opportunity to bring servicewomen and women veterans to Washington, D.C. from all over the country to break into focus groups to discuss 4 key areas that we believe are interrelated and try to develop a holistic approach to helping decision makers and policymakers create solutions to these issues. So we're going to be focusing on educating the public so that the public understands who servicewomen are and what we've accomplished. We're going to be focusing on health and wellness issues and identifying the needs for true research. We're going to be focusing on how we can end gender bias in the military. And then finally, one of the focus groups is going to be essentially looking at how we can build a stronger community and specifically how we can establish those local chapters that we talked about. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be a great opportunity for them to weigh in, provide their expertise, and focus our efforts for 2017.
Wow, that sounds great. Where
Very
is that
excited.
going to be?
It's going to be right here in D.C., and I can send you the flyer for it because we're in need of funding for that as well. So we would love to have people who are listening get excited about it and be willing to help us bring women from all over the country in so that they can be subject matter experts and fellows.
Outstanding. Yeah, I will definitely put the word out for that.
Thank you.
And speaking of funding, question number 3.
Yes.
If you woke up tomorrow and you found out that somebody made an anonymous donation of $10 million to your organization, what would you do with it?
The first thing I would do is I would probably faint, but we have a pretty good plan worked out for how we would spend money. The first thing that we would like to do is create a public awareness campaign to better educate the public, as I mentioned before, on who servicewomen are and what we've achieved. Our members consistently tell us that they feel underappreciated and that they don't feel like their service is given the same credibility by the public, and we'd like to change that. The second thing we would want to do is, again, develop that nationwide presence so that, as you said, in a community, women know where they can go for help when they need it, and they can, find other women who they want to mentor and help develop and ease their transition from the military into the local community. We want to finish our resource portal. We talked about that. I mean, clearly that's a priority for Swan, and we're very excited about it. And then the other thing we'd want to do is we would want to be able to use some of that money to bring our members into the DC area for those annual summits and things like that by being able to pay 100% of their way. Right now, our funds are fairly scarce, and it's a challenge to even be able to provide them with a stipend. So again, whatever we can do to bring some funds in for those women to benefit, we'd really like to do that. And that's how I would spend that money.
Excellent. Well, for that person out there who has the $10 million, you're looking for somewhere to put it. Kate just told you of a great place that $10 million can go. And
it's a good investment.
It is. It's a good investment for sure. And so for that person, or for anybody else who might want to make a smaller donation, slightly smaller than $10 million, once again, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
The absolute best way is to go to our website, www.servicewomen.org, and click on the donate button or the contact button. And again, we get back to people relatively quickly, and we would love to hear from you.
Outstanding. And like I said before, I will make sure that I put links for all of this in the show notes. Make it nice and easy for people to get over to your website and get connected, become members, and start to get plugged in with Swan.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Jeremy. I really enjoyed it.
And thank you for being on the show. This has been great.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I think that it's really important what Kate Germano and Service Women's Action Network is doing. And I invite you to go to the show notes page at veteranresourcepodcast.com/062, where you can check out more information there, and you can see all of the links and follow them to get plugged into Swan and to get connected with Kate Germano. As always, thank you so much for being part of this community, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 63.